Final match round of the Champions League predictions. This is going to be absolutely ridiculous. How dramatic, how juicy. Man City could get launched out of the Champions League. We'll be covering that and all the British sides. Leave your comments down below. What will happen in the Champions League final match round? It's the first time we'll see the format played out. Obviously, all of Europe are playing at the same time. And it's absolutely crazy. Whatever you say about the Champions League format, it allows clubs like Celtic, who haven't been in the knockout stages of European football for, 13 years? I think it was Neil Lennon was the manager back then. They've got a massive game against Aston Villa. Let's just start off with the two British sides who actually don't have much to play for, and that's Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool versus PSV. Liverpool have got a perfect record in Europe. I mean, they're barely conceding a goal, let alone drawing or losing games. Arne Slot is the second manager ever in Champions League football history to win his first 7 games outright when joining a brand new club. He's been absolutely incredible. And ironically, I can't believe I'm saying this, but when you talk about Liverpool in their final match round, they're favourites to win the Champions League, in my honest opinion, ahead of Real Madrid, ahead of course, Man City and Bayern Munich. But actually, this is how good Bournemouth have been. I'm talking about Bournemouth in the Champions League video. That Liverpool have to rotate, in my opinion, against PSV and be very, very cautious because they got Bournemouth on the weekend. I'm not saying it's a banana skin for Liverpool. I think there's a good chance they smash Bournemouth. But Bournemouth are an in-form side in Premier League football, and somehow Liverpool have to approach the Bournemouth game with a lot of caution. And that starts with PSV. That starts with rotation. The likes of Harvey Elliott, the likes of, Jota's injured, but you've got to rotate that front line. Darwin Núñez has to be starting in this kind of game. And for me, the likes of Van Dijk, the Holy Trinity, Van Dijk, Salah, and obviously Trent for Liverpool have to be taken out of this side, in my opinion. They're playing a lot of football. They're doing unbelievably well. I wouldn't even sit here and say that they look fatigued or they look tired or anything like that. They look absolutely fantastic still. They look imperious against Ipswich. They've been fantastic. But this is the one game, especially with League Cup finals, you got potentially coming up FA Cup big games, Premier League title race games. It's the one game actually maybe in the next few weeks, maybe until the March international break, where Liverpool can genuinely rotate players and rest players. I think Liverpool have to treat the PSV game as a training exercise. I know it's crazy saying that. But actually, and another thing to think about with this Champions League format, if Liverpool come top and they get 8 wins in a row, which is very likely, of course, I still think they're going to beat PSV, they can still face Real Madrid, Juve, Bayern Munich if those sides don't get the results they need on the final day, because they'll be at the lower end of the table. So that's very, very interesting. Actually, I don't think the Champions League particularly rewards you being that good as Liverpool have been. Liverpool have to be that good in the second half of the Champions League, and that would be a big question mark about Arne Slot. I'm sure they will be, and I think they're going to go very far into the tournament. I think they're basically guaranteed to get to the final the way they're going. But ultimately, PSV has to be the kind of game where they rotate. Look at Arsenal versus Girona. Again, Arsenal have been right under the radar. Big wins against Monaco. A huge win against PSG. They look very, very comfortable in that. And obviously, PSG are a very good side based on what they did against Man City last week, of course. Ultimately, I think Arsenal will be playing Lewis Skelly. I'd play Skelly up front and just get some goals and try and rub it in Michael Oliver's face in the PG MOL, because what happened on the weekend, I've not covered it on this channel, was an absolute disgrace for Arsenal against Wolves. It was never a red card. The backlash against the referee is obviously poor. I do genuinely feel this the reaction is never justified. I'm never going to say it from whoever is threatening a referee, of course not. But it trickles down from just bad refereeing and frustration between fans and football players and the referees. It's never justified, of course not. But I think Arsenal will have something to prove. You obviously play Skelly because he's somehow not had his red card rescinded, which is embarrassing. It's a disgrace. And play him against Girona, play him up front, and get him on a hat trick to get him back to confidence. Because I think Skelly has been absolutely fantastic for Arsenal. It's gutting for what he'll be missing in the Premier League. Obviously, it's a little one. It's not too many games he'll be missing. But I think Arsenal coming off the back of a deep frustration with what's going on in the Premier League based on the refereeing performances. And I think Arsenal have been fantastic this season in the Champions League. They've gone right under the radar, in my honest opinion. And I do feel that they're going to get a big win against Girona. Not on the same quality as Premier League sides, with all due respect. And the other Spanish sides in the competition got comfortably beat by Liverpool, who weren't even that good on the night a few months back. So I think they're going to win that game as well. Liverpool 2-0 versus PSV, and Arsenal 2-0 against Girona, in my opinion. We have to talk about Man City. Leave your comments down below. Can Man City get a big win against Club Brugge? And they're not a bad side. They're in the competition. They drew with Juve, I think it was last match round. So they got the ability to stay in the competition. So they'll be looking to draw the game, win the game. And if they just sit on the edge of the box, play it defensive, they're going to play into the hands of the Man City fans, play into the hands of Guardiola and a nervous set of Man City players. I think there is one bonus to it, with all due respect to Kushunov, to Vitor Rice, and to Mamouche. He was fantastic against Chelsea, but the two defenders in particular, they won't be playing in this game because they're cup tied. So that will just allow some of the older City heads to get back into the City side. A back line of Stones, Akanji, just keep it simple. Guardiola still looking absolutely fantastic. Was unplayable against Chelsea really at points with his darting runs from the left-hand side. There's still a few injury concerns. Obviously Nathan Ake, I think the midfield's still got massive holes in it. It's just about getting through this game. It's about keeping the ball. It's going back to old school City. Keeping the ball, maybe being a little bit boring, a 1-0 win, praying to God, but it can't be end to end. If Chelsea had taken their chances, if Palmer had been a little bit sharper, Chelsea probably win that game. It was a big win for Man City. I was gassed about it. I couldn't really believe how bad Robert Sanchez was, but City did deserve the win. It was one of the better performances this season, no question about it. But City can capitulate in a way that is I've never seen before under Guardiola. I really haven't. PSG, I'm still not able to sleep from it. I mean, it's PTSD. It's absolutely crazy how bad that capitulation was. It was almost historic. And I said it in the match review. It's almost like what happens to PSG every single season from other sides. I think City, look, if City aren't favourites to win this game, then what are we doing talking about Man City with the money in the squad, the quality in the squad, the manager? But Club Brugge are a lot closer to beating Man City than anyone sat there watching this video thinks. Seriously, I watch City week in, week out, and this City side can capitulate. It's absolutely mental how easy it is. And no Ruben Diaz is a big one for me. If Ruben Diaz stays on the pitch for 70 minutes, I think City just grind out a win. But without Ruben Diaz's kind of constant leadership and positional awareness and guiding the City side through tough times. How many times do we see it with Rio Ferdinand, John Terry doing it? I think he's of that caliber. I really do. And I think without Ruben Diaz, the City side are very, very porous. And I think John Stones on his days is right up there. But his days getting fewer and far between. And that's an unfortunate sort of state of affairs. I hope he starts this game, John Stones. If anything else happens, if it's not a kanji on John Stones, honestly, this City side could honestly concede really early on. And it could be under massive, massive pressure to get back in. It has to be that partnership that I say defensively. But Erling Haaland's still scoring so many goals in the Champions League this season. It's a shame Mamouche can't play in this game because he would have been absolutely incredible. He was fantastic against Chelsea, and I've got such a lot of respect for who he is as a footballer already. Coming into the Premier League, being as athletic, quality, his first touch was such high quality. His link-up play was brilliant. You can see what he's trying to do, and it's only one game in. I thought it was a very, very good debut. It's a shame he can't play. Look, Foden, De Bruyne, get these guys on the ball, get over the line, see where we are in a few months. Hopefully in the knockout stages, quarterfinals, stranger things have happened of City going on a run. It's very unlikely, but City have to be favourites to beat Club Brugge. But I think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's going to be very, very dramatic, but leave your comments down below. We're just going to wrap up with Villa versus Celtic. Big game for both clubs. Obviously, Celtic have basically guaranteed qualification. But Villa really have to be careful. I think they can let their foot off the gas a little bit. I saw that against West Ham on the weekend. Obviously, Villa had to win that game 1-0. They had to grind out a win against West Ham to get into the Champions League for next season. The last thing you want to do is do a Newcastle United or a Leicester City, with all due respect to those clubs, and have one season and not build a kind of dynasty in Champions League football. And Villa have got more than enough quality and the experience with Unai Emery to be thinking, can we do 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row in the Champions League and completely change the fortunes of the club? I think Aston Villa have got that chance. But the Champions League actually, as a cup side, with Unai Emery's ability to win European silverware, don't write these guys off to win the Champions League. Now, I know they're not ahead of Liverpool, Real Madrid, even Man City, maybe one of the Italian sides, Bayern Munich, of course not. But if those clubs are off it a little bit and Aston Villa get a decent draw, a decent run to the quarters, the semis. He did it with Villarreal. They beat Bayern Munich a couple of years ago. It's absolutely crazy. And no one really talks about it in the kind of football landscape. I never really see the highlights on Twitter. Villarreal beat Bayern Munich to get the Champions League semi-finals. That in itself is almost like winning the Champions League for Villarreal. Villa have got a better side than that. They've got two strikers that are absolutely fantastic and maybe borderline world-class strikers. So don't write off Villa. They have to beat Celtic. They will. They've got a very, very good record, a very long unbeaten record at Villa. I think it's 9 matches unbeaten at Villa Park. It's a hard place to go, particularly in European football. Big win against Bayern Munich already this season. I think Villa will smash Celtic. But you've got to say fair play to Celtic. And this format has helped Celtic out. And it's good to see Celtic, former European Cup winners, in their own right. In the latter stages of the Champions League. Leave your score predictions down below. Maybe for the other clubs that I've not covered. It's going to be juicy. All of Europe are playing. Nigel Farage is having a meltdown. It's all of Europe are united together. It's beautiful. It's going to be dramatic. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you very, very soon.